Well, it's Christmas time and the holidays are up on us. And here during this time of the year, it is our Good News series. There's a lot of great things happening in our community and we want to bring it to you. Today we have with us the Chief Executive Officer of the YWCA. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Eric LaVille. We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Eric LaVille. First of all, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. This is Christmas week, so I hope that you guys have got your shopping out of the way. I have not. I'll be very honest with you. I'm still trying to find gifts and make sure everyone is happy. But at the same time, family is really what it's all about, and recognizing this time for the season. And of course, we know that Jesus, our Savior, is the reason for the season. So make sure you take some time out to give thanks to the Lord for all that he has done and blessed us throughout the year. As always, we want to thank you as our listeners, our supporters, for tuning in and listening to us as we broadcast from the campus of the Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation, from none other than WNSB Hot 91, the soul of VA. And speaking of NSU and the Spartan Nation, let's just say we've done it again. We brought Pharrell, we brought U.S. Senate debates, and we brought some of the biggest names to this campus are attached to this institution. But now we can say that we are now the university that hosts one of the biggest names in football ever, Michael Vick. So congratulations, Coach Vick, on being named the new coach, head football coach for the Spartan Nation. We're excited, and I know the listeners are excited. Make sure you get your tickets now because I'm telling you, the games are going to be phenomenal. So, again, congratulations, Michael Vick, on being selected as the next head coach of the Spartan football team. As I said before, during this time of the year, it is when I bring out the good news. We deal with a lot of heavy things throughout the year. And especially since the pandemic, it's been really heavy, and we deal with issues and we deal with them because we want to make sure that you're informed. We want to make sure that you know what's going on so that you can make a more well-informed decision. But during the summer and during this time of the year, we like to bring community engagers because here on Stay the Water, when I created this talk show, it was to bring movers, shakers, and policymakers to you to discuss issues important to the community. And not just movers and shakers, but individuals who are making an impact, indelible impact in your lives, in your community every day. And today we have with us someone who is definitely making her mark with her organization and her own work here in this community through the work of this very important organization, the YWCA, but none other than the Chief Executive Officer, Michelle Ellis. Madam President, how are you doing this Sunday morning?
I am doing well, Eric, and I should say Dr. Clavel because that's the respect you deserve. So thank you for having me on the show this morning.
Well, look, no problem at all. Listen, we're all friends in this place, and at the end of the day, we're all making sure that we do the work that makes a difference in the lives of everybody. So I'll just ask, have you gotten your Christmas shopping out of the way?
No. We still have a day and a half, I'm going to say.
That's
roughly.
Right.
The kids are older now, so green money or cash apps or Venmos work very well.
I tell you, listen, Cash App is a savior, isn't it? So
it is.
Well, so you Cash App, Amazon, and just press DoorDash, so we're good to go.
All right.
But listen, I'm so glad that you've given us an opportunity to just peel away a little bit of your time. I've been really wanting to get you on the show to really talk about, the work of the YWCA and the work that you're doing. Of course, it's a lot that's happened and a lot of good things since the pandemic as it relates to, women and making sure that the issues that a lot of women who go through things, various issues are now at the forefront in ensuring that the children are protected and the like. But before we get into the YWCA, I wanted to talk about you. Why did you ever see yourself as being a CEO of the YWCA?
I absolutely did not. I saw myself as a college president of a women's university, but never as the CEO of an organization like a YWCA.
Oh, wow. So why a woman president why a president of a women's university?
Well, I was educated. I'm a native New Orleanian, a Who Dat fan.
There you go.
Educated, received a Catholic education in my great city, and was privileged to graduate from an all-girls Catholic school in New Orleans, Louisiana, which really kind of set the trajectory of who I am as a person. My mother comes from a family of 6 girls, so estrogen was just always around me. And, being a member of one of the greatest sororities in the world, Zeta Phi Beta, and so I was always around things that were women, but I was also nurtured professionally by some great women who just really poured into me, saw the greatness in me, and helped to catapult me in so many different ways. And so professionally, I spent 27 years in academia, both in the classroom and at the administrative level in higher education, and really was working towards that advancement to the executive level for higher education institutions. And what better place to end a career or to achieve was to be a president at a women's college university. So that's kind of how that happened.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I know it's something I loved about you, as a fellow Louisianian myself from North Louisiana, born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana.
All right.
So shout out to Louisiana,
That's right.
making a difference here in the VA. So LA to VA, right?
That's right. And good things do come out of the boot.
That's right. Who Dat, said 2009 was a great year. That 15-year reign of Champagne to Drew Brees was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yes. We're still going to ride on that.
Look, until next time, so there we go. But, with that, that's phenomenal because, we never know where our lives are going to take us. We set a trajectory and we say, hey, we're going to do this, but, we never know what God has for us.
That's right.
And to say that you wanted to lead a women's institution and now you become the CEO of an organization whose mission is simply to eliminate racism and empower women, promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. I think it says a lot about, you having the impact even greater than education itself. Tell us about the YWCA.
Well, you said it so justly just now. Our mission every day across the nation and really the world is that of eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. And our organization nationally is 166 years old. Right here in Hampton Roads, we're 116 years old. And our work really works at the intersection of, I believe, 2 of the hardest pieces of work in humanity, which is violence and racism, specifically violence against women. And so we center our work around domestic violence, intimate partner violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking, and then really looking at the intersection of that work through an equity lens, because we know primarily people of color, largely black women, are impacted by domestic violence. And so while our services are open to all, because we do service men in our mission, our work really uplifts and empowers women in our communities, and then works at that intersection of education about disparities and advocating for change and providing resources and tools that help us to and help community to dismantle oppressive systems. So we've got our hands full over here.
Absolutely. And when you say handful over here, I know where you're located. You're located here in the city of Norfolk, but what areas do you mainly service?
So our service area is all of Southampton Roads, the 5 cities, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, and Suffolk. And then we also service Franklin and Southampton counties, where we're providing services that are free all across the communities as it relates to victim advocacy, crisis services, counseling, shelter and housing in the city of Norfolk, We're the domestic violence shelter for the city of Norfolk, but we're the crisis service responder for all of those geographies that I just mentioned. And then our work on the side of our equity and justice, which really provides a lot of outreach and education around domestic violence and around racial and social justice issues.
Now, we'll talk more about that in the second half of the show, about the justice and equity and eliminating racism, especially around the partnership that you have here at Norfolk State University with one of our think tanks, the Center for African American Public Policy. But I want to kind of focus a little bit more on the empowerment part of your mission and children. You know, this is the Christmas season. It's a holiday season, and of course, it's a time of joy, celebration for a lot, supposed to be for everyone. But unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen for everybody. Tell us about this time of the season and how the impact that you're called upon to make when it comes to families who are suffering or find themselves in need.
Absolutely. We are blessed to steward individuals in their most vulnerable states when they've been impacted through as a result of domestic violence or sexual assault. And so when we approach this holiday season, it really is about restoring faith and hope in humanity and operating from the premise of what I call CDR, courtesy, dignity, and respect. And what can we meaningfully do to stabilize someone's trauma in the holidays so that they feel like they are a part of the larger society. So we do massive drives to ensure that our families are well taken care of, whether they are in our services, in our Almost Home Shelter program, they're in our housing, they've transitioned out of shelter, or they're coming through our doors through the crisis services line, victim advocacy, or counseling departments. We touch all of our clients through the power of our community, who greatly provides resources for us to be able to make the holiday season normal for those that are in traumatic situations.
Wow. And you mentioned that these services, first of all, your response area is extremely broad. For those of you that aren't familiar geographically with Southampton Roads area, is let's just say, it's not just a hop, skip, and a jump.
That's right.
It's 5 cities, and then you have the huge counties of Franklinton, where you also service, and there are 5 distinct cities as well. How does your organization, how do you deal with the stakeholders and the different responses that you have to make in those very unique cities that you service?
Well, we have very favorable and long-standing partnerships with first responders, really across Hampton Roads, but again, primarily in our service sector of Southampton Roads, Franklin, and Southampton counties. And so because of those long-standing partnerships, whether it's with the municipalities in those areas or the colleges and universities like a Norfolk State right here in our community, we are considered a trusted partner to the first responders, and quite frankly, we are the first responder to the first responder when something violent happens in community. And so, through ongoing partnership building and ongoing training and development, we are able to maintain those partnerships and closely knit relationships in order to ensure safety in community.
Absolutely. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Eric Claville, and today you're joining us for our Good News series. On this week that we celebrate Christmas, we're talking with someone who's making a difference and an impact in the community to ensure that everyone can have not just a safe holiday season, but be safe throughout the year. Now, some of your work has been finally being recognized, through, several entities that give awards. One of them is Remarkable Woman of the Year. And this award, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
You were a finalist, and then you were announced as the winner. And, it's something that is provided by our media partner, YWCA, where they look at and find women in the community that are making a difference. And It says, whether addressing a church congregation, a room full of reporters, or counseling a victim of rape or abuse, the YWCA of Hampton Roads CEO, Michelle Ellis Young, is living her mission. Talk to us a little bit about why this is your mission.
I am the mother of 4 adult daughters, and, being a woman, especially in today's climate, presents a lot of challenges, really, that we're grappling with. There's the gender violence of the work that we do, reproductive rights and sexual violence. There's economic statuses, things for, that impact mothers and particularly single mothers, and then that economic justice piece, period. And so when I think about why this work is important, I think about it from the lens of my 4 daughters, quite frankly, in the future, not only that I want them to have, but I want their children's children to have. And so it's just been a part of my life's mission to ensure that women and girls are well cared for, because if women and girls are not well cared for, then our communities suffer.
Absolutely. And, not just living your mission and doing the work in the community, but it's also a business,
Absolutely.
As a CEO, especially if you were becoming a president of an institution, but especially of a nonprofit like yourself, 50% of what you do, if not all of what you do, is fundraising. Mm-hmm. And because of that, you were recognized as, once again, as being the Woman of the Year for Inside Business. Tell us a little bit about that honor that you received, and I want to go a little bit deeper about how your funding is secure, because you said you offer these services free. And I know free doesn't mean free to you, but it means free to mm-hmm. those individuals that you offer it to.
Well, the Women in Business recognition, I believe, is just a culmination of my life's work. I have an eclectic professional background. I've been in higher education. I've worked corporately in a few places in community, and then I've worked in the nonprofit sector. And so I've always seen the intersection of how business connects with whatever it is that I was doing, whether it's education, the nonprofit space. That work cannot be done in a silo, and it takes all of us. And particularly in the work that I'm doing now, there is a direct correlation between workplace safety, profitability, return on investment, and women showing up, or individuals showing up as their whole selves, and those that may be impacted by violence. And so I do a lot of work in community to ensure that this organization that I'm entrusted to steward is always leading the way with making those connections, not just the ask for money, but also sitting at the table where decisions are being made, and being at the table where community conversations are being had, so that our voice can lend to that work, and then together we can collaborate for a safer community.
Wow. Now, when it comes to fundraising, give us a little bit about who are your largest donors, if you can, but also how individuals can provide funding if they really want to be a part of this effort.
Absolutely. Our largest funder is the federal government. We have a number of grants that cycle through our organization from the federal level, and that's why when you see voting issues impacting women and girls in marginalized communities, it's important for individuals to raise up and support us, because when those funding cuts happen, then it devastates those free services that we're talking about. And then we also have funding that comes down from the Commonwealth of Virginia, and then from our local municipalities. But we also have a part of our funding mix. United Way of South Hampton Roads is a large funder of ours, as well as a number of local foundations, whether they're private foundations or corporate foundations, that help to support us. But our biggest need is always in those individuals who care about humanity humanity care about the lives of women and girls. And so, whether it's $5 a month or $1,000 a year, those individuals become critically important to providing the funding we need in order to be able to support in a non-restricted way the services that we're providing across community.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. And before we end the show, we'll get more information from you about how individuals can donate. If they can just pick up their phones and just go and click what can they give and where can they give it to. But before we get into partnerships, I want to talk a little bit about stories of success, stories of hope. The YWCA, and again, not to be confused with the YMCA, but the YWCA is an organization that gives hope. As a matter of fact, according to ACT Alliance, Stories of Hope through the YWCA, it says hope is best shared through stories of resilience, courage, change, success, and also even failure. Madam President, if you could talk a little bit about some of the success stories of hope that, just a couple of here since you've been at the helm of the YWCA in the Hampton Roads area.
Absolutely. I think of a young woman who came through our services in her mid-20s and unfortunately was a victim of violence of someone she thought loved and cared for her, but found herself in a situation she never thought she would be in. And it was just the luck of the draw on that particular day of an incident where she was able to reach out to 911 and 911 dispatched police, who also made a call for us to come as a support for her. But when I think about, we'll just call her C because her first name began with a C. When I think about C, I think about her courage to, one, say enough is enough, but two, to come through the doors of an organization like a YWCA and entrust us with her care. And so she didn't have a GED. We helped her. We didn't get it. She got it. We helped her on that path towards that GED. And then that GED begat her living a dream. She wanted to become an esthetician. And so we worked with her to get the funding that was necessary once she stabilized her housing to be able to enter into a program. And she graduated from that program on time and now is a business owner right here in our community.
Wow. And
so she comes back to help in the ways that she can because we were there to support her. And then there are other individuals. We unfortunately have seen a rise in domestic violence amongst our elderly. And we had a gentleman who was in his 70s who was being violated by his family members. They were taking advantage of his finances. And so elder abuse is a real thing. And he didn't know what to do except to call the police. And the police didn't know what to do except to call us. Can y'all kind of figure out what's going on here? And we did. We retreated him into our shelter to at least get him out of the space of where people had access to him. And then our case managers were able to work with him to figure out what was what, working with Social Security and Human Services to really deconflict all of the things that people had attached themselves to from his financial portfolio, and then work through that with him and get him on a path. And so when I say that these services are making an impact, they are not a respecter of person. They can hit at any age. We take people as young as 18 in our shelter, but we're servicing young people as early as 3 and 5 years old in our services, but we also are servicing those elderly clients who deserve care as well.
Oh, my goodness. I'm glad you brought those stories out because a lot of times when you're in an organization and that's your main mission, you tend to get what we call a poster child of your organization. Like, that's all you do. But but the fact that abuse can happen at any age, any demographic, any place, it really drives home in my opinion, the importance of an organization like yourself. So continue to keep up the good work as it relates to helping individuals across the board deal with very hard situations of abuse, but ensuring that they are safe in our communities and in their own homes. But the YWCA is just not about empowering women and also dealing with domestic issues, but it's also to eliminate racism. There's a very important partnership that you have here with us at the University of Norfolk State University through our Center for African American Public Policy. Tell us a little bit about that partnership and the conferences that you have participated in.
Absolutely. You know, this partnership is a budding relationship that Dr. Cassandra Newby-Alexander and I had as I came on board at the YWCA, Southampton Roads. And all I knew at that moment was I had to find someone who knows where the skeletons are in the guts of this organization, and that's where I was led to. So she and I met, and we just really started to strategize and innovate. What could something look like in concert with Norfolk State University? Because I firmly believe that because of our history, our partnership relationship belonged there. And so in working with her, you know, we were able to forge with Dr. J's blessing and her signature a memorandum of understanding with the Center for African American Public Policy that really focuses on 4 areas of connectivity, which is advocacy, research, community engagement, and education, and then those special events. And as a result of those special events, our first conference, what we call the Conference on Rest, which is racial equity and social transformation. And at that time in 2021, the concept was that this really was and would be a training ground for those who are interested in learning more and leaning into the effects of injustices and inequalities in our community. And so camp had, Norfolk State was our first host site. And from that, we built this partnership with camp around this conference and for those areas of connectivity. And so now Norfolk State is our official host site for this conference, which intentionally takes place the week or second week prior to Juneteenth, that we can pay homage to those that were enslaved 2.5 years longer than they should have been in Galveston, Texas, but now bring that knowledge and serve as that training ground for so many in community, businesses, nonprofits, other individuals who are in this work or learning more about this work. So we're just really excited. Don't know what we're going to do past this year because it's grown so much, but we are committed to the partnership.
Absolutely. And not just that partnership, but you're also forging other relationships throughout the Hampton Roads community. Can you highlight some other institutions and organizations that have supported you and you're forming a partnership with?
Absolutely. You know, we work with Old Dominion University and EVMS as well. Now that they've merged, we're reworking what that relationship looks like. But we do a lot of work around what's called coordinated community response teams and providing the education for their police force and professionals as it relates to sexual assault and domestic violence on campuses. We do that at Norfolk State as well. We do a lot of work in the space of community with the arts, robust partnerships with MOCA, and working on community programming and activations that lend a voice to both racial justice, social justice, as well as domestic violence. Very proud of a partnership that we had we have a long-standing partnership with Teens with a Purpose with Deirdre Love and her crew now that she's retiring and turning it over, but we're still in partnership with them. We were able to do an exhibit that highlighted the untold story of the YWCA Southampton Roads and its true founding in 1908 by a black woman by the name of Laura Etta Davis Titus, and partnered with Teens with a Purpose, and then as well as with Chrysler Museum, where these young people had a unique opportunity to do a call and response through whatever their lens was. So whether it's poetry, art, music, or whatever it was, they curated pieces around hearing the story of the YWCA Southampton Roads, and then having their work displayed in a state-of-the-art museum renowned around the world that rests right here in Hampton Roads. So that's one of my fondest. And then just the work we do every day of partnering with local hospitals and higher ed institutions and municipalities and public health departments and our legislators. Very proud of in January, we will be opening up an entrepreneurship academy for women, and that's done through legislative work through Senators Kane and Warner's office. And so just a lot of partnership and collaboration to ensure that women and girls are seen across this community like we do every day, equal, powerful, and unstoppable.
And you are definitely making that impact in our community. Listen, again, I am just beyond excited to have you join us this morning, and so happy for what you're doing and the recognition that you're getting. But I know you don't do it for recognition, but as is stated, you're doing it because you're living your mission. So thank you again. Listen, Merry Christmas to you, and have a wonderful New Year. To all our listeners, Merry Christmas to you, and make sure that you end the year right, and make sure you give honor and praise for the reason for the season. Thank you again for joining us. This is Stay the Water. I'm your host, Eric Lavelle. Until next time, be good, be great, God bless, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Carrie Washington, and you're listening to State of the Water with award-winning host Dr. Eric Claville.